Episode 3. Beyond Paradise Season 2 Episode 3 begins with Maisie Morgan standing at the bow of a fishing trawler, the Tom Crocker. Below deck, Adam Morgan and his brother Sam are playing cards when their other sibling Billy comes down to tell them they've nearly arrived at their destination. Adam gets up on the deck, but Maisie is nowhere to be seen, although her scarf is tied around the handrails and her boots are on the deck with a note left inside them. As the brothers call out for Maisie, Adam makes an emergency radio call to raise the alarm. At the police station, Kelby takes a call from the harbor master that someone has been lost at sea from the Tom Crocker. Esther tells Humphrey that Maisie went missing from the Tom Crocker just before 6 a.m., and the RNLI are liaising with the Coast Guard and the police's marine unit to go back out and search the area, but they don't think they'll find Maisie alive. The harbor master tells Humphrey that everyone suspects Maisie took her own life as she was dying, and the brothers found a suicide note. Humphrey and Esther speak to the Morgan boys. Humphrey wonders why Maisie was on a dawn fishing trip, given that she was terminally ill, and Adam explains that she'd always loved the sea. Humphrey and Esther search the boat, and Humphrey thinks it's odd that Maisie tied her scarf to the rail and left her shoes behind. Also, she supposedly jumped off the boat at the worst place possible, given that she would have had to climb over the railings. He's not ruling out suicide, but thinks they should keep an open mind. Esther suggests they speak to Maisie's doctor for more clues. Kelby checks the boat's GPS logs at the police station, and it confirms that they left at 4:30 a.m. and went out about 5 miles. Esther says the forensic team is hopeful they've got some good samples from the boat, and they've also visited the Morgans' home and taken DNA swabs for identification. At the police station, Esther gets the fingerprints report back from the Tom Crocker. Turns out, Maisie's prints were found at the bow of the ship, where her scarf and shoes were left, as well as on the port and starboard sides. Esther also spoke to Maisie's doctor, who thought she had a few months left and possibly only weeks. The last time he saw her, she was talking about getting her will changed, and asked if there was any medical reason that she would not be able to do this. Margot says she's heard on the grapevine that when Sam Sr. died, he left everything to Maisie in his will with the agreement that when she was gone, she would leave the fishing business to his sons. However, Adam kept insisting that the Morgan family tradition is for the oldest son to inherit the business. Humphrey thinks that if Maisie was talking about changing her will, she had taken Adam's side. Humphrey thinks it's important to find out if Maisie did actually change her will before she died. Humphrey debates whether someone just wanted to make it look like she jumped and thinks the suicide note could be a forgery. He tells Esther that they should speak to the Morgan boys again. They interview Adam at the harbor, and he says it's obvious in hindsight that when Maisie asked to come out on the boat with them, she was planning to commit suicide. Next up, they go to speak to Billy at the family home, and he explains that Maisie said her will would be divided 4 ways between the 3 boys and Jenny. At the Morgan house, Adam pins Billy against the wall. As it turns out, he's spoken to the lawyer, and Maisie did not change her will before she died. Maisie had made an appointment with the solicitor on Thursday and had asked Sandra to take her into town, but, by the sounds of it, Sandra did not, and Adam thinks she and Billy did that on purpose. Humphrey is reviewing the CCTV footage when he notices something very odd. The 4-person lifeboat crew returning from their search reveals there were initially 5 of them, until they walk behind Jamie's van and only 4 emerge on the other side. Humphrey realizes when the boat came back into the harbor, it was facing in the opposite direction, so Maisie's prints are on the starboard side because she was getting off the boat. Humphrey's theory is that Maisie asked her stepsons to take her out on the boat one final time, but not in order to take her own life. She took off her scarf and shoes and left the note behind. She knew when they found her scarf and shoes, they would assume she'd jumped off and would be focusing on searching for her in the ocean rather than on the trawler. Maisie hid in a chest on the boat, where she'd hidden a spare RNLI uniform. When the boat got back into the harbor, she climbed out and put on a disguise, then climbed out on the starboard side. She waited for the RNLI crew to walk past and blended in among them and hopped into the back of Jamie's van. He was in on the plan from the start, and Maisie remembered that Jenny said she wouldn't see her again until her funeral, so she faked her own death in order to see her one last time. The episode ends with Maisie's memorial taking place after she actually dies. Humphrey tells Esther that Maisie never did change her will and all 4 children got an equal share, but Jenny remained adamant that she didn't want any of it, so the 3 brothers are arguing about what to do with her portion. The episode review. This is a fun episode with a twist on the murder mystery format, with the supposed victim actually faking their own death. The portrayal of a family fighting over a wool was an interesting angle while keeping up the suspense of wondering if one of them could be the killer, only for it not to be any of them. Chris Marshall is in his usual excellent form as the clumsy detective on the case, and the supporting characters are fun and intriguing as well.